You probably hear a lot about inflammation, just like I do. And it's been said lots of times that it's the root of disease and that we just always need to be looking for ways to decrease inflammation. I'm not saying that any of that is incorrect. We should. We should look at decreasing our inflammation levels. But I believe sometimes, especially in the holistic space that I'm in, I see a lot of people talking about just take this one thing and it will decrease inflammation, right? And it's like the never ending thing. And I just always like to ask the question, why? Why do we have this chronic inflammation? And really to peel back the layers of the answer to this question, because a lot of times it's not straightforward, but it can be really, once you peel back all those layers, you can find what exactly is causing this chronic inflammation, because we know that it's not good, right? Inflammation should be from an acute event, right? It's a normal process for our body, but it's when it gets into this chronic phase that it's not good and can really cause a lot of issues based on that. So I want to look at today and how iron metabolism can really play into this. How does that cause chronic inflammation? A study just popped up on the screen because this is a really interesting study and how it talks about iron metabolism and inflammatory diseases. So one particular sentence in here states, iron metabolism parameters in inflammatory diseases are characterized by blockage of tissue iron release, decreased serum iron and total iron binding capacity, and an elevated serum ferritin level. So this just kind of goes to show, okay, our iron is not working properly, and therefore it's creating more inflammation in our body, which is causing diseases, which is true, right? Inflammation causes diseases, but what is causing this inflammation? And so in this study, it brings up the fact that iron that is not working properly over time, and once it gets pushed into tissues and just stays there and is stagnant, it can lead to more inflammation. And that is absolutely true. So I want to bring up this conversation because I feel that instead of just succumbing to the fact of, oh, we just always need to be trying to decrease our inflammation, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think we don't need to stop asking the question of why. Why do we have this chronic inflammation? And while this is one piece of the puzzle, for sure, there are other pieces of the puzzle. If you are consistently consuming lots of processed foods that have very inflammatory processed oils in them, that is definitely going to cause all of this to be even worse. So this is just one part of the conversation that I'm bringing up. It's not the only part, but yet I do feel like this is it's not very well talked about. You don't hear a lot about how iron, that is not working properly in our body, can cause inflammation to keep persisting. So I want to take just a minute to say, like, how is iron managed in the body and what can we do to help it work correctly? Very simply, I'm going to also put another graphic kind of visual on the screen for you. This is how iron is managed in the body. So it all kind of goes back to retinol or vitamin A, active form of vitamin A, because that makes copper attached to something called ceruloplasmin. And ceruloplasmin makes copper what we call bioavailable, because you can have copper and it's not working properly for you. You need this ceruloplasmin to make it work properly. And you need the vitamin A to make the ceruloplasmin work. So you can kind of see how this is a cycle that you have to make sure you have all the pieces in place for it to run properly. So we need vitamin A to make copper attached to ceruloplasmin. And we need that ceruloplasmin to make the copper work right, or bioavailable. And so then we need bioavailable copper to actually make sure our iron is moving correctly in our body. And so this right here is exactly why a lot of people's iron is stuck. And when our iron is stuck in our tissues, it can cause inflammation to persist. And it's just not working properly, right? We can see a lot of different things come from that. And definitely fatigue is one of them. And a lot of times that is characterized with the fact that our hemoglobin is low and we then need more iron, which is not the case. As you can see from what I just shared, we really need more vitamin A, the active form, retinol, to make sure that copper and iron are working properly. It kind of all goes back to that. And if you keep, again, pulling back the layers of this onion, you're going to get to this fact. And so while this is just one way our body can have this chronic inflammation, it kind of keeps driving it, if you will. It's kind of like continuing to put more logs on the fire so that it continues to burn when we really want to extinguish it so that we don't have all of this extra inflammation. We need our iron to work for us. Iron is not bad inherently. Of course, we need iron, but we want it to work properly, right? It's there so that it can make more red blood cells so that we can get oxygen throughout our body. And so if it's not working properly and it's in our tissues, it's just kind of stagnant and it causes inflammation to be worse. And so hopefully this helps you to see, okay, maybe I do need to keep asking why. And maybe this is part of the reason why I'm feeling the effects of a lot of inflammation in my body, which that is a whole other conversation. But there are so many autoimmune issues today. There is just an insurge of autoimmune issues. And if you really start to peel back the layers, this could be at the very, very bottom of that, very, very center, if you will, of that onion. And so I always like to really keep digging. And I'm glad you're here to keep digging with me. So this is one piece of the puzzle. I want to give you more information on iron and how it works in the body. If you're like, okay, this is interesting, but I need more information. So I'm going to put a couple of links to some additional videos that I've done that are on YouTube on my page here. I'll also share a playlist of all of these videos so that you can, if you're really ready to dig into like minerals and iron specifically, I'm going to give you both of those playlists because I feel like it's a topic worth digging into, and I'm excited to continue to learn and share with you the things that I'm learning, because I don't want to provide you with any fluff information, right? I want to get down to the nitty-gritty so that you can finally heal and have that energy and have that vitality that you are really looking for, so that, in my opinion, we can do all that God's called us to. So if this conversation interests you and you kind of want to dig in more to it and get individualized help, that's exactly what I do when I work with people one-on-one and in my group program that's offered about 2 to 3 times a year. I actually do specific blood markers and a hair test and kind of match that up with what signs and symptoms are you experiencing so that I can tell which part of this cycle is not working properly and how can we get you back on the road to everything is working as it should. And so if that interests you, I'm going to put the link below in the description so that you can go check out ways that we can work together with this specifically. Thanks again for joining me on this video, and I will see you guys on the next one.